Hey, what's happening, everybody? Anthony Conklin, AnthonyJConklin.com. 26 years in corporate America, 27 years in the entertainment space. You can find me at Anthony J. Conklin everywhere on Twitter and on Instagram at Anthony.ace. Boy, have I got something I want to share with you tonight. Really interesting stuff. So I want to share with you tonight the idea of a story, right? And the thing I want to share with you about a story is that everyone has one, but you never really know who wants to hear your story. So let me give you an example. So I was having dinner with a couple of my kids tonight, and we were just talking about a few things. And the one thing that came to mind was just listening to a story my son was telling me. So imagine this. Let's picture this in your mind. You're not very good socially. You're awkward. You're not very good with girls. You don't have your driver's license. You don't have the right job. You can't engage with your friends. You don't have enough money. You're not in great shape, or you're too this, you're too that. Now, when you start lining up all those things in your life, like you say, well, I don't have my driver's license, I'm too old, or I don't have enough money, I don't have a car, I don't have my license. And you start to tell yourself all of these stories. And what you do is you create this mindset of negative, like, I can't do these things, I don't want to do these things, or these things aren't important to me because I just can't do them. My son was telling me a story tonight about things that are not necessarily true. He says, well, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. He literally named 20 things. And the thing that came to mind was, why are you telling yourself this story? Like, why? And it's like, why are you telling yourself this story? And he said, because it's true, and because it's a fact, and that's why. And I'm not going to be good enough to do anything because I can never do anything because all these things in my life are here. Now, imagine the story that you have in your life. Your story is, I come from divorced parents, I come from not enough money, I didn't finish high school, I didn't finish college, I didn't finish all these things in my life. And if you continue to tell yourself that story, right, you run that story over and over again in your mind, that story is going to create what they call a negative context. That means when you start telling people that particular story, you are going to create this negative mindset and you're never going to be breaking out of it. So it's sort of like, imagine you're a baby, right? A baby is in a dirty diaper, and a baby is in a dirty diaper for a very long time. Jeremy, how are you, buddy? Rush Impact Marketing. Make sure you guys check out their podcast. These guys are killing it. Him and Matt doing a great job. So imagine you are telling yourself the story about why you can't do things, what you did wrong, why you can't make changes in your life. When you start telling yourself the story, nothing breaks out of it. Now, let me stop for a second. Imagine you're 11 years old and your dad takes you to the bar and he wants to go drink at the bar and he gives you 4 or 5 rolls of quarters. You could put, this is way back when, you could put quarters in the jukebox and you just listen to music. Now, while you're listening to music, your dad's at the corner of the bar drinking. And you're asking yourself this question, why doesn't my dad want to spend time with me? Am I not good enough? Is there something wrong with me? Maybe he's not a good dad. Maybe I'm not a good son. I told myself that story for a long time. I never thought I was good enough. I mean, I literally thought that there was something wrong with me. I thought my dad didn't love me. And I carried this burden in my life for many, many years that I wasn't good enough, that I just couldn't really be a happy person, that I had to make other people happy because I wasn't happy. So I found ways to essentially just put all my feelings of self-worth aside and try to help other people. And it was because I thought my father didn't love me. And I didn't realize later on in life that my father had a problem. My father had a drinking problem. This is my personal story, guys. So my dad had a really bad drinking problem. And my dad beat my mother. I didn't realize how bad my father beat my mother. But then I I carried that burden with me for years, and then I got married and I had kids, and I always thought that I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't get there, that I just wasn't really at that point in my life where I literally carried this burden with me forever, like forever. I felt like every single day I wasn't good enough. But what I didn't realize is I was carrying this negative context in my head that was keeping me from growing and becoming, because I kept putting myself in this negative context. But let me tell you why I tell you that story. Because in the title of this is, everybody has a story and you never know who wants to hear yours. Well, my story is of not good enough, not being, not having the right body style, the right weight. I didn't speak well. I couldn't really understand things because I was learning disabled and I couldn't put words together, and I wasn't as good looking as the other people. I kept thinking that because my dad left me at the bar, and because at 5 years old I got pushed in a pool because the girl thought I was a fat kid with glasses on, that I wasn't good enough. I carried this with me for many, many years, and I hid it from a lot of people. And it wasn't until years ago that I broke out of that story and I realized I am not my past. I am not a victim of the things that have happened to me. Your past does not equal your future, guys. Things that have happened in your past are things that happen there as learning lessons for you to become the person that you are. If you work in a company for 25 or 30 years and all of a sudden you get laid off, too bad. Yeah, you can get upset about it, you can get pissed off about it, you can be angry about it, but they didn't lay you off because you're a bad person. They laid you off for business reasons, and you got to let it go. You're married for 20 years and you have kids, all of a sudden you get divorced, too bad. And I'm not trying to minimize job loss or minimize marriage or divorce, but you get divorced, okay, you're done. You grieve and you move on, right? You meet a girl, you date her for a while, it doesn't work out, you move on. You have to really take a look at your life and remember that the things that happened in your past, things that are back there, are not going to define who you are going forward. You have to, what you call, make peace with the past. You have to, all right, just listen to me, guys. Make peace with the past. Because if you carry that bag of bricks, that burden on your shoulder, you're never going to grow and become the person you need to be. I told that story a little differently on Blab, so we mentioned Blab here. I told that story a couple years ago on Blab because I needed to kind of get it out. But what I realized was that my life is a culmination of moments that have happened to me that have given me perspective on who I am and where I want to be. I go back 7.5 years ago when I got divorced and I left with nothing. I was jobless. I was penniless. I was depressed. I had no one to turn to. I couldn't turn to anybody in my life. I was divorced. I had no money. I had no friends. The friends that I had were moving on to other things. The people I thought were my friends were no longer my friends. So I thought my life was over. But then I realized for a minute, I stopped and said, you know what? This is not who I am. So I went and I spoke to a couple people. I got some help. And then I basically said to myself, okay, this is not who I am. I'm better. I'm more. I'm becoming. And today, I have a very successful career. I am an entrepreneur, despite what, influencers say, entrepreneurial, whatever. I just think it's bullshit. I am an entrepreneur because I run multiple businesses. I consider myself humbly successful. I make a comfortable income. I'm blessed that I make enough money to be able to take care of my family and take care of what I have here and moving forward. And I'm healthy. I work out. I feel great. I'm good. I feel confident. I feel good about myself. And I also feel good about the things that I'm doing in my life. So that's my story, guys. And I don't know if it's going to resonate with some of you or all of you or none of you. But I wanted to share with you that brief story. I know I kind of gave it to you in pieces because that's just how my mind is wired. I wanted to give that story because I want you to know that all of you here have a story as well. Some of you may have more tragic stories about health issues. It could be, mental challenges, physical challenges, emotional challenges, but your story is really valuable. Now, I don't want you to think about go telling your story and just telling a sob story, right? I've given you my story, but I want you to walk away with the value. So the value of my story to you is that you could be married and get divorced, you could be jobless, you could be penniless, you could be friendless, and you could be depressed. And you can literally turn it around and you can make lemonade out of lemons. It's probably the only analogy I can think of. So when you think about your story and you think about the value of your story, there's someone out there that really wants to hear it. I cannot tell you how many people have messaged me, and I get all worked up just saying it. I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I mean, I've got messages from people saying, Anthony, that Instagram story you did, or that Snapchat story you did, or that live stream you did, or whatever, that meant so much to me. So I want to say thank you to all of you who have shared your personal stories with me. That really means a lot. And for the 10, 20, or 30 of you, or 4 or 5 of you that show up in my stream, you mean something to me, and I really appreciate it. So remember the story that you have to tell about your life. Always put your story in a positive context and not a negative. Look at your story as a list of events that happen that are a lot of failures and a lot of successes, but look at them as learning lessons and more of like stepping stones for you to continue to rise up. So the next time you share your story with somebody, other than just being a sob story or a bragging story, share your story that has value, that has a takeaway for it. Because you never know who's watching, who's going to say, that resonates with me. Guys, I'm Anthony Conklin, AnthonyJConklin.com. I am a speaker. I'd love to come speak to your organization. If you know someone who's interested in hiring a personal development speaker or a motivational keynote speaker, I am so excited to say that I'm speaking in Las Vegas. And I'm speaking in California. I have a couple of speaking engagements coming up. And I'd love to come speak to your team. So message me right here on Facebook. If you like what you heard tonight, just hit the little like down here, right down here, and share it with your friends, family, coworkers. Even share it with your haters, because your haters will actually like you if you share good, valuable stuff. And in the words of Les Brown, he always says, you have greatness within you. You do. You really do. Don't ever think that you don't, because you're a great person. You have something so super special inside you. And if you take anything away from this live stream, you have such amazing blessings and greatness in your life. And you just got to let it in. And it's your job to share it with everybody. Share it with the planet. Share it with the world. Have yourself a great night, guys. And until then, until next time, I love you. I'll see you soon.